Hello, you're welcome back to another reaction video. Guys, it's Naza here, and today we're checking out why you should think twice before moving to Germany. Twice before moving to Germany. Okay guys, let's check this out.
Now, don't get me wrong, Germany is a great place and there are many excellent reasons why you might want to live here.
Yeah.
I made the transition very successfully, and so did a lot of people that I know.
Then how are you?
It's not a decision you should be taking lightly, and if you move for the wrong reasons, you're probably going to have a hard time. So in this video, I just want to go over a few things you should probably bear in mind before you commit yourself.
Okay.
This is not to put you off, it's just to help you think more realistically.
Okay.
And a really good sign you should be doing this is if your primary reason for moving is, my own country sucks right now.
It sucks.
That is very understandable. If your country is not as economically successful as Germany is, then naturally Germany is going to look very attractive.
And it is.
And even some countries that are economically better off have serious problems. Some look as if they're sliding into authoritarianism or are riddled with corruption, or both. And sure, Germany is among the better countries in the world, but that does not mean that you personally are going to have a better life here. First of all, you're going to need a job.
Guys,
and if you're from
wait. What this man is trying to say now, like, I don't know, because right now he's making it very scary to move entirely to Germany. He's making it scary. Whew. Well, let's just find out the reasons. And guys, please, in the course of this video, can you please help us know if it's right or wrong, if the things that he's saying, if it's correct or wrong, so we know. Because right now, I don't know, I'm getting a bit scared.
Outside the EU, you're going to find that extremely difficult because there's an awful lot of bureaucracy you need to get through before you can legally reside and work in Germany. And by the way, that's the case even if you're planning on working remotely. Even if you are an EU citizen, it's not plain sailing. Germany may have a fairly respectable GDP at the moment, but that's no guide. The job market is doing really badly. It is very tough at the moment to find any kind of well-paid office job. And yes, we do have a shortage of plumbers, builders, electricians, that sort of thing. But that does not mean that you'll find it easy to get a job. You may have qualifications that work in your country, but they're probably not valid in Germany. And things may work very differently from what you're used to. If you're an electrician with 20 years of experience working in the UK, there's a lot you're going to have to relearn before you can wire up a German house. And most jobs require you to speak German to a fairly high standard. In fact, life in general requires you to speak German.
Guys, right now about speaking German. I know little, just little. I'm not even sure you're up to 10. I know Guten Morgen, good morning, Bitte schön, please, hello, hello. Yes, 9, which is no, 9K, 10, cheers, bye. I think that's the basic ones that I know. I think that's all that I know. Just 7. And the last video we reacted to 500 words in Germany. Sure, who shin. That's matches box, or boxes where matches are kept. That's kind of hard. And imagine speaking these big words to someone that only know hello and Guten Morgen. So guys, please, I'm pleading, if you can teach someone German, please. I really need to learn more. I need to learn German. Okay, I think most of the videos I'll be doing right now is learning English. Sorry, learning German. Because, I think this is going to stress me. Because I don't even know.
While tourists can usually get by speaking English, when you're living here, it's quite a different matter. For example, all the bureaucracy is in German, and if you don't speak any, you have to bring an interpreter with you. And while we're on that subject, the bureaucracy is just one of the things that you'll find very different from what you're used to. I recently made a video briefly explaining culture shock, which I'll link to in the closing credits, but basically, things are not the same as they are back home. The laws are different, cultural values and norms are different, even the way you make friends is different. That takes a lot of adjustment and it can be quite tough. And not everybody manages to cope. And then there are the things that even native Germans struggle with. And one of those is going to affect you directly.
Which is?
The housing crisis. In most cities at the moment, there is a huge shortage of houses and apartments. And even though there are supposed to be some controls on rents, that does not mean that rents don't rise. And it definitely doesn't mean that it's easy to find somewhere affordable to live, because there's just so much competition for the cheapest apartments. It can easily take you months to find a place to live. And even when you do, it could be that that is when your problems start. With the housing crisis as serious as it is, there are a lot of landlords out there who will take advantage of the fact that you don't know your legal rights or your landlord's legal obligations. I've heard some horror stories of foreign citizens being trapped in clearly illegal accommodation and being very obviously ripped off. At least it's clear and obvious to me, but I have some idea of what the law says. You probably don't, and neither do you know where to get help. And that is if the place that you find actually exists and is available for you to move into.
Wait, guys, does that mean that there are a lot of scams for houses? Like, people just scam over housing. I know it's everywhere, like it's even in my country. At least that's one of the reasons why I want to run away from this country. Imagine running from here to enter another big issue to the place you're running to. Hey, I wonder how it will be. So what are we going to do now? Guys, please, is what he's saying, is it true? All these things that he's saying now, please tell us, are they true? Because right now, I don't know, I'm kind of scared. I don't know what to do again. Guys, please, let us know in the comment section.
A housing crisis is good news, not just for bad landlords, but also for straight-up scam artists. You find a place that seems too good to be true, you pay up front, and you discover that it's not true. These scams do operate in other countries, by the way, and that might include your own. But when you're in a country that is unfamiliar to you, you're much more likely to fall for one, especially if you're desperate. And just so you know, you do not pay any money until you have signed a contract, and no landlord is going to give you a contract instantly. In this climate, they have dozens, possibly hundreds of applicants for every single apartment that they advertise. They are at least going to want to vet you first. Also, of course, the biggest red flag of them all is if the landlord says they're not in the country at the moment and can't meet you in person. You might at this point think, yeah, but that's renting. What if I bought a house? Well, that is possible, but it's not as common in Germany as it is in some other countries. The concept of getting on the property ladder doesn't really exist in Germany.
Really?
You're most likely to buy a property if you know you're not going to move again and you have family to inherit it when you die. Also, it might not be the best option for you anyway. Actually, owning a property ties you down to that property. If you need to move because you've finally found a decent job but it's 400 kilometers away, you first have to sell your current property. And that might be difficult because the concept of getting on the property ladder isn't really a thing.
Wait, guys, why is it so hard? At least you can rent it out and go live in another place. Because over here in our side, you can have 4 to 7 different properties in different places. You might not even be living in one of them, but you know it's just all over. You guys, why suddenly just... The rules are too much. That's why I say German rules are too much. I know it's for the betterment of the people. I know, yes, but
Besides, owning a property comes with a lot of obligations and a huge amount of paperwork
Again.
you're not familiar with. If instead you rent, then your landlord takes on most of that stuff for you, so you don't have to worry about it. Another thing to bear in mind is this. When it comes to how the country is being governed, are you sure Germany actually is a better fit for you?
Oh, yes, it is.
The fact that you can't live with your own country's politicians doesn't automatically mean that you'll be able to live with ours. And I do understand. Compared with some other countries I could name, Germany has managed to hold on to its basic fundamental democratic values. Regardless of what the US vice president thinks after watching one sensationalist TV documentary, Germans are not being arrested and thrown into prison for things that they've said online. But that doesn't mean that things are perfect, and in fact I recently made a video discussing Germany's approach to free speech, including some of its shortcomings. More to the point, though, it doesn't mean that things can't get worse in the future. Unfortunately, we live in uncertain times. We've just been through an unusually long period of relative peace and prosperity, but people are increasingly worried that this might now be coming to an end. And fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate, and hate leads to suffering. Hang on. Where have I heard that before? Now, while it is true that Germany is handling the situation fairly well, and I am optimistic that it can overcome these challenges, I cannot predict the future. And the political establishment is seriously struggling right now. In other words, don't automatically assume that Germany is a safe refuge from all the problems that you're worried about.
At least a little
It may be
refuge.
a wise move, but we have problems too. So, what do I suggest? First, be realistic. You've probably heard a lot of negative stories about Germany, and they're probably exaggerated. But equally, a lot of the positive stories you might have heard are probably also exaggerated. This place isn't hell, but neither is it paradise. Second, and this applies especially to people who are planning to move from outside the EU, try to get yourself fixed up with a job and, if possible, a temporary place to live before you move. And I realize that this advice is going to be a lot more helpful to people who already work for a global financial institution than to car mechanics. But unfortunately, that is the reality. Yes, it is ironic, but while we're all complaining about the lack of people who can do useful things with their hands and a box of tools, the system is set up in such a way that it makes it so much easier for people who spend their working lives in skyscrapers moving money from one bank account to another. Third, if you can, spend some time in Germany and see how you find it. And by that, I do not mean a 2-week road trip. I mean, find some temporary accommodation in a boring city and live there for 3 months.
3 months.
I would recommend doing this in the winter when it's dark and cold. The idea is to see Germany at its worst and see how well you cope. And fourth, if you do decide to come here, give yourself an exit strategy. Make sure that if things do go wrong, you can always return to your home country. In the meantime, if you are just generally interested in Germany, I make videos about the country, and in particular, its language, culture, history, and people. So if you're not already subscribed, there is a subscribe
Please subscribe.
button that you can use. I'll tell you what. You already know this.
Yes.
And I am getting ready to start work on this year's travel videos. So if you'd like to help support me so I can afford to keep doing them, then consider becoming a channel member. There's a button for that as well. In return, you'll get some advance notice of upcoming travel videos and production notes after they've been published. And if you sign up at level beta or above, you'll also get early access to my travel videos. I almost forgot. Here is that promised video about culture shock.
Okay, guys, that's the end. Yeah. So, guys, please, the link to his video will be in the description. Like, comment, subscribe, and share these videos. Yeah, that's a little way of supporting us. So, guys, I think the last, like I said, it's better you leave, let me say, during the winter period, so that you'll see in North Germany at its worst. That's the best idea. So that you know if you're able to cope. That's good there during summer. You enjoy everything. Then winter you'll be crying home. Yeah, guys. Yeah, and please let us know in the comment section if all these facts, if they're true, all these things that he just said, if they're true about living in Germany, about scamming people for houses, about not finding job easily, like about a lot of things. Guys, please let us know in the comment section. Go have the day you deserve and keep living under commanded blessings. See you guys in the next video. Cheers.